Hi, I'm Ngure. I'm a creator of life, and my work mostly revolves around thinking about how I can use what people consider trash or waste, and I try making sense out of that and create beauty out of that. So I take things that have no life and breathe life into them, into sculptures, wind chimes, previously jewelry, and any other thing that will excite me and hopefully excite anyone that sees the work that I create. So this is basically my journey and my life's journey and mainly my career's journey. So I grew up at a place called Matasia, which is in Gong, and we were farmers. I grew up in a farming homestead, and that was the early influences that I got, because I believe that everywhere you are and what you're surrounded with influences your career in whatever aspect that you may think about it. You know, even challenges, they also influence your work. So my early influencers were my parents. My dad used to draw just as a hobby, and we used to spend so much time with him together. We used to go for rallies, the Kenya Rally Championship, actually the World Rally Championship, when it was the first time that it was in Kenya, which was in the 90s. And the favorite spot that we used to go to was in Kiserian, you know, where if you've been to Kiserian, then you know there is a place right at the junction of Kiserian, where you have one road coming from Gong town, the other one heading towards Rongai. Right at that junction, that was the perfect spot, because we could, you know, the rally cars could, you know, slow down, and that was the perfect view. So we used to drive there on a Sunday or a Saturday, whichever day that the rally was on, and sit on top of my dad's car, I together with my siblings, my bro and my sister. And that, I still remember that fondly. But more to that, artistically, with my dad, he used to take me with him to the office on a Saturday, because Saturdays were slow days. It was a half day, and he always encouraged me to draw. He gave me white papers, pencil, pen, encouraged me to draw from memory. When we were at home, he used to tell me to draw from observation. He could have me sit in front of the family car and tell me to draw it. From my mom's side, my dad is long past, but mom is still there. And mom continues to influence my work till today. But earlier on, mom used to be the artistic, the crafty side of my influence. So I can say mom has had the most influence, because I used to watch her knit pullovers, stitch, and any other thing that involves threads. You know, she had one big machine where she could, you know, it's a machine where you pull it from one side to the other, and it weaves a fabric. So it was that she used to bake, and also it also helped that earlier on in our school system, we used to do art and design, which also involved home science, and that involved stitching. So I could relate with that. To this day, my mom still supports my work by collecting materials for me in the streets from the dustbins, because she knows that I'll make a better use of it. So that represents one of my earliest influences as an artist, and I look back to that very fondly and thankfully that it happened, because it has added on to who I am today and who I'm going to become tomorrow. So personally, as a kid, as I said, I grew up in a farming homestead. So I used to practice farming. I had my small portion that my parents had set aside for me, where I used to plant spring onions. And at one point even I actually had enough to sell, and I sold some by the roadside just right outside our home. And I used to keep rabbits. We used to have cows, all sorts of things. And mom had orange trees, you know. They were not the best breed because the oranges were very bitter, but you have to try so that you find out. So that is my early influences. And right after that, something happened in our lives where our house burnt down, still in Matasia, and I lost my sister. And so we had no home. Like in one night, we had no home. I survived, my brother survived. Thank God for that. And so what that influenced is that I had to go into boarding school very early on in my age. And so I joined boarding school at around class 3. I cannot really figure out the age, but I was really young and I was really homesick. But back to the story of influences is that while in school, during break time or after classes, I used to create sculptures out of cocoa tins. And I used to team up with a friend called Job, and we used to go the field. There was a field that was right next to the kitchen. And back then, the cocoa was packaged in tins, big tins, the 1 kg ones. If you remember the orange ones, they are really good. And they used to throw them away and burn them. So we used to go and tell them, don't burn them, we'll use them. And we used to use our crude weapons to cut open from one end to the other. And we have a clean sheet of metal. Remember, all this was being done using crude weapons. Okay, not homemade weapons. Okay, not weapons, tools. Tools is the right word to use. And so this was in form of a nail that we used to get from the construction site in school. My school was a constant construction site back then. And also that influenced my work because I could see the fundis work, and that was a big influence in my work to this day. So we used to go there and get nails. There were some nails that we could be able to hammer the front part, and it ended up being like a cold chisel that we used to use to cut open these tins. And we used to use either a wooden mallet or a piece of stone to cut open and get a clean sheet of metal. Then thereafter, we used to join them up. We used to cut them. Cutting them also was the same way, just by using a chisel. Or sometimes we could perforate holes in one sheet of metal, and then we could, twist them like that until they were 2 parts. It was really enjoyable because we learned how to do rivets by bringing 2 pieces of sheets together, doing a hole and twisting the nail, and then twisting the whole thing, then hammering the backside, those flaps that had formed. If you know how a crude rivet looks like, then you begin to picture. So that became my early sculptures that I used to do. Also, coupled with what we used to do in class, because in class 3, class 4, we still had art in our system. So we used to do collages using rice, sand, and all sorts of things, cartons, similar to what kids right now in Kenya are doing with the CBC, curriculum-based syllabus. So it was fun. And so from there on, during holidays, remember I used to spend so much time with my dad, and my dad had a love for cars. He used to buy an old car that he used to make repairs where necessary, then he resells it. Similar to what I do right now with trash and found objects, because I'm doing the same thing, but in a different scale or a different style. So going with him to the repair shops in Grogan area around Ngure, and even in Isli, because he had mechanics all over. I just used to sit in the car or outside just watching the mechanics work, and that had a great influence in my work, because spare parts are not cheap, and sometimes they had to fashion their own spare parts, they had to fashion their own tools. And that really was exciting, even if I could not really understand what they were doing, but just being around them, I was able to draw in that wisdom. And I look back fondly to that as part of the influences I had, and I have had right now, even as I continue to learn my sculpture. So that was primary school. Go on to high school, and remember in primary school, when we reached for class 3, art and design was taken away from the syllabus, and that was a really heartbreak for most of us that really enjoyed that class. So from class 4 up to class 8, we did not do any art. So joining high school and finding that they have art as a subject that is also examinable, I was full of joy. And even before our teacher could introduce us to painting, I had already asked my mom to buy me a packet of Marie's watercolor, and I would practice. When in class we were just learning pencil work, I was already doing painting and trying to paint trees, trying to do landscapes, washes. So by the time we were doing painting, I was on to something else. I was hanging around the woodwork area in the school. Remember also in high school, the woodwork subject had also been scrapped, but the department had been retained because of repair of desks and all that. So I used to hang around the woodwork area, just picking up scraps and trying stuff with them. So, and high school was a really enjoyable part of my life in terms of meeting different artists, different people, friends, and also exploring and being guided by my teachers who are there, and they're very helpful. So already by the time that I was about to leave high school, I already knew what my dream career was. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to practice as an artist. Maybe I did not really know exactly what I would end up doing, but maybe I was like, I want to do painting majorly, because that is what I was good at. So that is what I wanted to do. So, but it so happened that after high school, that time I was living with my mom, and she asked me what college I want to go to, and I had some cold feet, so I applied for Aeronautical engineering, because I was like, I don't want to burden mom with, her paying for a degree course, and me going through a parallel program, which you end up paying 3 times what the other students pay. So I applied for Aeronautical engineering, but I did not last a month. I quit. I just felt it was not for me. I felt a very strong desire to do art. And I had done my research and seen that there are only 2 universities that offered a degree in art. And that was University of Nairobi, which is majorly design. But I saw Kenyata University was more diverse in that you will do more things. You will even do what you would learn at University of Nairobi. Other colleges that were offering an art course was BIFA, Buruburu Institutes of Fine Art, but that was only until diploma. So I was like, if I'm going to go for it, then let me go for the best. Well, I had the option of going for Makerere, which I believe it's the best in the region in terms of arts. But I think that was very far-fetched. Okay, I did not believe in that, so I was like, no. Let me just apply for Kenyata University. I was accepted. I got the letter, and I joined. And I forget to mention that my mom was really supportive, even when I quit the aviation course. She was very supportive. I just came home. On that day, we had gone for a practical at Wilson Airport. And I was like, I cannot do this thing. This is not for me. And I just came home, told her, Mom, I want to quit aeronautical engineering. I want to do art. She listened to me, took a moment, did not say a word. And then she was like, okay, is that what you have decided? I said, yes. Then she was like, okay, then you do what is necessary, apply, and all that. So Kenyata University came, and I ended up majoring in painting. But what happened is that during our course, as most of my classmates would attest to, getting art material was a challenge. It was a real challenge, and sometimes you had 2 painting units, and the 2 lecturers wanted you to do 20 paintings at the end of the semester. But when you went to the material department, they only provided you with wood and canvas that was enough to make like 5 paintings. So you see, you have a deficit of like 15 paintings that you need to do for the semester. So, being the person I am, I started being ingenious and experimental. So I used to come to Githurai, where my studio is right now, and they had a clothes market, and I used to go and buy the big skirts made from jeans, the big skirt jeans, and dresses. And those were the perfect canvas. So they were cheap, they were durable, and I used to go cut them open, make canvases for myself. And then it got to a point I thought, maybe I can also make some that I can sell. So I started a business where I used to make canvases and sell to my classmates. And I made an extra income, because what mom was giving me sometimes was not enough. So that's how my business practice started. So with all the experimentation, I began adding objects into my paintings, be it fabric or beads and all those things. And what this did is that, and I did not know at the time, but I was evolving. I was evolving from painting to collage, and I ended up doing that. And around the same time, I also started doing some really quirky jewelry that really caught your attention, a style that I have maintained to this day. Something that when we meet with you, that's the first thing you realize, and it strikes a conversation, because it strikes you. You're like, I've not seen this before. So along the time that we were in university, I teamed up with a friend. He's called Victor Njoroge, or Victor Binge. So during holidays, we used to, when we had our long holidays, which was like 6 months, we chose not just stay at home, and we created art. We used to go to curio shops in town, even in Westlands, and we used to make small cards, gift cards, and all those things, just to try and make an extra coin, and some jewelry, Masai market type of jewelry. But also we used to go and apply for exhibitions. I remember my first exhibition was, actually our first exhibition with Victor was at Nairobi Gallery, which is right now the I think it's under the Murumbi Collection Trust, something. It's the gallery that is next to Nyayo House, the junction of Kenyata Avenue and Uhuru Highway. Yeah, so that was the first exhibition that we got, and it was called the Kanga exhibition. So if you had any artwork that involved Kanga, so mine was a drawing of a Maasai woman that had Kanga. The second exhibition that we had was at Payapa, and they were really supporting this. Both of these galleries were really supporting young artists, and also we also exhibited at the main museum with so much support from Lydia Galavu and Susan Ngure. And along the way, we also tried the big galleries. We used to go to, what is this gallery? Gallery Watatu in town. And we used to go and see guys showing, guys like Sen Wadu, Tabitha Watuku. Yeah, we used to just go and see them exhibiting. Remember, this was in 2010, 2009, just before the gallery closed. And also we asked how we can exhibit there, and they told us to come with a portfolio. We did a portfolio, we came with a portfolio, but they said we need to work harder, which was okay. We tried. Also, we used to go to African Colors, which was not very far from Gallery Watatu. So African Colors, I felt it was more of an office-based space, which they focused more on exports, connecting crafts people to the buyers. So that was not for us. So that was my life in university. I graduated, and thereafter I went into business with my brother. We opened a hotel somewhere around Mwiki. It's called Santon. We ran it for 2 years, and then the business was not doing so well, so we had to come back and or we had to go back to our own lives or our own careers. And that's when now I came back to art, and I told God, now I am coming back and I want to be here full time, guide me, protect me, be with me. Because remember, after graduation, I had started trying to sell art, but it was a little bit challenging. So I decided to go into business so that I can, have rent, feed myself, support myself. And right when I was coming back to the industry, a new gallery had opened. Art Space by Wamboi Kolimo. So I found that to be an amazing platform for me to come to come and sort of connect and reconnect with the art scene, with the artists. And I used to spend so much time there, mostly on weekends. Exhibition used to open around Friday evening, Saturday midday, and that's where I started meeting artists. I started seeing the quality of work that should be in a gallery. And also, I also had a ready market for my jewelry. So that kept me going. And in the process, I met someone that has been really critical and inspirational. And at one point, she was my patron. She's called Margarita Wagashero, a great friend to this day. God bless her soul. She guided me. She supported me because she loved my jewelry. So she could give me so many orders. After I've done one, she could give me another one. And that kept me going. And along the way, I also got a lot of wisdom from her. And opportunities started to come by where I started exhibiting. Through her, I also was connected to Alliance Francaise, which are also my friends right now. And yeah, she's been a really big inspiration to my life. So I think that basically explains my background in art and some of the life influences that I've had as an artist and as a human being, because sometimes there is no way you separate the two. One influences the other. And by this time, I had started meeting different artists, and I was still doing collage and trying to now shift into sculpture. And I remember going to Gakunju Kaigwa's exhibition, and it was so amazing. I went to his talk. In this exhibition, he had done pieces that he had used big logs of wood, and he had also incorporated resin. And I really was inspired by that. And also, I started visiting art studios, and I met Meshach Oiro, that also inspired me and gave me my first advice when I was trying to shift into sculpture, because shifting from 2D to 3D was really hard for me. You know, it's like, if I could give an example, it's like someone that has only known about walking, and now you're telling them to run. You know, it's quite challenging. For someone that does it every day, it's an easy thing. But for a small kid that only knows how to crawl, just telling them how to walk, it's a major, it's a milestone, you know. So these people and these moments became or have become part of my influences through my work. So now I'll go towards the processes that I go through when I'm creating an artwork. So my processes, sometimes I would want to create, say, a chameleon, and I can approach that subject from sketching it and looking for the materials that fit my sketch, or the opposite, which mostly happens in my case, where I let the material guide me towards creating a sculpture. For instance, if it's the chameleon, the first piece I created was inspired by a coil, a heating coil. You can already picture how a heating coil looks like, and I looked at it and said, this definitely should be a chameleon. So, and one thing led to another. You know, I happened to be in Gikomba, where I get my palette pieces of wood, and I saw some really beautiful blocks of mahogany, and I picked one, and there are some old jewelries that had been donated, and also some that I had. So that led to me creating the first chameleon, and that has become one of my most successful sculpture series. So that is one way. But also sometimes I go to collect material. Some of the places where I source materials from are from the junkyard. By saying junkyard, I mean scrap metal dealers. Here locally in Kenya, we call them scrap metal dealers. Abroad, you might call them scrapyards. So scrap metal dealers are people that buy scrap metal from the waste pickers that go around collecting the scrap metal, you know, and all sorts of waste, even plastics, and sell them to the scrap metal dealers. Then in turn, I go to them and select what I need. Then I pay them something, you know, in relation to the type of metal and the weight. So I would go and buy aluminium, or just iron, or steel. Yeah, so that is one place that I get my material from. I also get my material from clients that donate artwork, that donate materials that, or items that they might have in their homes for a long time and they don't plan on using them. And they look at my work and see, I think you can make better use of my stuff. So just take it. And in 9 out of 10 times, they give it for free. Yeah. Sometimes a client would approach me and say, I have these items that are so sentimental and I would really want you to create something out of them. And then we can make into an agreement. Also, as I had mentioned, Mom collects from me. I also collect from the ground. I also get some from Mitumba. Yeah, like when I'm going to buy my own clothes, I sometimes find stuff that I can use. So early, maybe last month, I got this amazing heels from a second-hand clothes shop. So what really impressed me about this was the wood, because it's made entirely of wood and leather. The leather, it's not so much, because leather I can get, leather I have. But it was so amazing, finding something made out of wood and not plastic or some piece material, some cheap material. So when I was getting this, I had no idea what I would create out of it. No idea. I just loved it. So it cost me around 200 shillings or 250. Of course, even this had the leather, but this, I have already removed this part, because I am intending to create something out of it. So at this point, I already know what I want to create. So I'm just waiting for the right moment. I get the right objects that fit into that, then you'll be seeing that in one of my artworks. Yeah, so basically that's my process of getting material. So if I'm going to get lots of materials, I come with it, I document it by taking pictures, posting online, storing the photos, and also sorting them, cleaning them where necessary, disinfecting where necessary, then putting them in specific boxes, be it electronic waste, plastics, round objects that I might use for the eyes if I'm creating an animal. Then thereafter, it's now deciding what I will create with these materials. Yeah. So another influence that I've had in my life has been my speech. Since I've started this filming, I don't think you've heard me stammer, but I used to stammer really badly since I was a kid. And this went on until university. And I had a lot of encouragement from my friends, from my lecturers, especially in university. One in particular, Anne Muiti, really encouraged me. And she also influenced me a big time in my artwork, because she took me through a lesson where we used found objects, and that is what I'm doing right now. But stammering wise, it really affected me socially, because I was secluded. And in primary, high school, my classmates, most of the teachers did not know how to handle stammering. So if it's your classmates, they would laugh at you. If it's the teacher and you're going through a line reading one paragraph and it got to my, and it got to me, and it was my chance and I started stammering and delaying the class, he would be like, let the next person read. So that did not help, because, okay, as much as I was off the hook, but it did not help me. So that greatly influenced my work, in that I poured my time, I secluded myself and just did art, because that was my outlet. And finally, when I was able to overcome it, it was a big release, because it was at a time when, which was after university, it was at a time when I had established what I want to do with my life, with my career, and that was sorted. So now I have a fluent speech. Then I was like, I want to speak now. I want to talk. You know, when I start talking, I don't want to keep quiet, because I have had a lot. I have had a lot that I have wanted to say for more than 25 years of my life. So I'm thankful that right now I am able to speak courageously and have a fluent speech. Even though sometimes if I take very long without talking, the stomach comes back, but not in full force. Because at one point it was so bad that I was not able even to say my name. It was really crazy. And also I do have sweaty hands. So when you combined stammering and sweaty hands, it was like, okay, you guy, you are done for. You know, socially you are out, because approaching people, how do you shake their hands? How do you talk to them? But the first step was acceptance, especially with my sweating. So nowadays, people that notice that I sweat, I tell them that I have gifted hands. And it's true, I have gifted hands. So that has been one of my influences that I've had in my life, and that has affected my career positively. So sometimes in life, even if initially it's a negative thing, it might end up positive. And most times it ends up into a positive thing, or you turn it into a positive thing, because just staying there and being sad, negative, and downbeat won't help you. So let me see if I have left out anything. Yeah, so my future plans. I've just had an exhibition at Alliance Francaise, Nairobi, with Wallace Juma, an award-winning artist and a great friend. And even thereafter, I've been meeting friends that have been asking me, okay, what next? How often do you show your work? And every time someone asks me that, it's in that they are focusing on, they want me to showcase more, they want me to exhibit more. And it's not a bad thing, but I want to focus more on research, because I feel artists, especially in Kenya, most of us don't do enough research, because most times we are focused on creating art, making a quick sale, making some money, then repeat. But I feel if more emphasis is given towards research and production of work, and not production in an industrial way, but production in a deeper way, but mainly research and creating art that has more meaning. I feel I'm in a stage in my career where you feel you need a purpose. Okay, I already have a purpose in that I recycle, I'm an environmentalist, but a greater purpose than that. You know, something more. And if I can impact people, the world, and I can leave a legacy, then I would be content with that. So my future plans is to improve. I want to improve. Every day I wake up, I want to improve. I want to walk better. I want to talk better. I want to breathe better. I want to be fitter. I want to eat better. Everything I do, I want to be better. And when it boils down to my work, I want to improve. Right now, I really have a strong urge to learn welding. I've done welding before, but I'm not good at it. So I really want to learn welding and see how I can marry welding and the techniques that I'm using right now, which involves so much of drilling and wires, twisting wires, and wood, how I can merge that and what comes out of it. And who knows what I'll create out of it, or where I'll be next year. But right now, all that matters, first of all, it's now. I need to make the most of what I have right now. And the next minute, the next second, I want to improve. I want to grow, but in a very organic way. I don't want to force it. Yeah, so I think that's all that I can say right now about my career and my life. I have a dream exhibition or a dream installation where my dream is to install my studio at an exhibition for like a month or two, and just transfer myself there. You know, if I'm going to work, I'll be going there and creating art from my studio. You know, so it involves, you know, basically recreating my studio as it is, you know, inch perfect. And I know people will say, but you have open studios. But open studios are not every day. And during an open studio, you don't really so much get an artist creating. So that is my dream exhibition right now. I'll do it. I'll achieve it. I don't know when, but I surely will. Yeah. So for those that watched until the end, thank you so much for hearing my story. And I hope that I will continue to learn, I will continue to grow, and I'll continue to impact the world in a positive way. I'll continue to grow with purpose. I thank God so much for where I am right now. Without Him, I don't know where I will be. Remember, our house burnt down, and God saved me, because in that day we had a wooden house. You know, you see those wooden houses or wooden cabin where the bottom part is made of stone, then the top part is wood. So I used to sleep the same room where my sister used to sleep in. But on that night, my brother told me, today, let's go and sleep on this side. I don't know why he said that. Even I ask him today and he tells me he does not know why he said it. And yeah, so in the middle of the night, I was deep asleep. My brother woke up, he woke me up, he told me, let's go out, the house is burning. And it was too late to save my sister. And just yesterday I was talking to my mom and she told me, because at this time, mom and dad had separated. And so we were living with my dad back then. And my dad was not at home, so he had gone to up country. And so I was speaking to my mom and she told me that on that day that the house burnt down, she wanted to come and visit us. But something told her, no, you know, let her postpone to another day. So I believe that things happen for a reason, and there is a God. There is a God in heaven. There is a God right here. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for the people that have had a great influence in my career. I'm thankful for my lecturer, Ann Mwiti, and all the other lecturers at Kenyata University. I'm thankful for some of the people that continue to collect my artwork to this day. I'm thankful for Hector Bid. I'm thankful for FJ, Mr. FJ. I'll just say the initials because I don't know if he's comfortable me mentioning his name. So I'm thankful for you, FJ. And some of the people that I've not mentioned. I'm thankful for my mom. I'm thankful for my bro. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. And I'm thankful for life. Until next time, bye-bye.